Hello students, welcome again. Students, in our previous video lecture, we discussed The Merchant of Venice as a tragicomedy, as a mixture of tragedy and comedy. And in today's lecture, we are going to discuss the character of Shylock, who has been considered as the antagonist of this play, as the villain of this play. Here, we are going to discuss this character, Shylock, his good as well as some of the bad traits or qualities found in this character. So let's begin. William Shakespeare is indeed the master in the art of characterization. We know Shakespeare because of his immortal characters. There are hundreds of characters which you can remember, like we have the character of Hamlet, Macbeth, King Lear, Othello, and so many others who are still living in the hearts of the lovers of English literature. He has drawn innumerable hundreds of such memorable characters in all his plays. But today we are going to discuss Shylock as a villain, Shylock as an antagonist of this play, The Merchant of Venice. And before that, we must also recall other antagonists or other wicked characters presented by William Shakespeare who are immortal on the golden pages in the history of English literature. Who are these such other characters? Say for example, when you read Hamlet, we have the character Claudius, who is an antagonist. In Macbeth, we have the character Lady Macbeth. In Othello, we have Iago. In Merchant of Venice, we have Shylock. In The Tempest, we have Caliban. All these are the immortal characters, memorable characters who are performing as antagonists in Shakespeare's plays. But among all these villains, Shylock has been considered as the most remarkable characters in the entire range of Shakespearean drama. He is a very complex character. Why complex? Because he arouses the feeling of hatred in the hearts of the readers, but at the same time this character arouses the feeling of sympathy and pity for this character. So we have two different feelings when we read the play or when we watch the play on the stage. We have these two different feelings for these characters, right? Shylock is a villain, and at the same time he has some good qualities also, which we are going to discuss now. Now Shylock, first of all we begin to discuss Shylock as a villain. Shylock as a villain, why do we consider him as a villain? Number one, he is a selfish person. He is a miser Jew. Miser Jew means he is a greedy man. He is a lover of richness, a lover of money. Shylock is by profession a money lender. Money lender means one who lends money to the needy people, right? So Shylock is a money lender and he is a selfish Jew. Now Jews are who? Jews are a community in Europe, okay? And there had been conflicts between the Jews and the Christians in those times in Europe. So here in The Merchant of Venice, through the character of Shylock, William Shakespeare has also presented this conflict between these two communities, the Jews and the Christians. Okay, this Jew, Shylock, hates Antonio. Why? Because Antonio is a Christian. He hates all the Christians around him, and he does not like his daughter to fall in love with a Christian. Okay, like a true Jew, he is also a miser. Miser means greedy, right? The rate of interest which he charges while lending the money is too high, right? So this shows that he is a miser, he is a greedy person. He hates Antonio for giving people money without charging any interest. See, on the one hand, we have a Christian Antonio, and on the other hand, we have a Jew, Shylock. Antonio is rich, Shylock is also equally rich. Antonio gives money to the needy people but does not charge any interest. But on the other hand, there is Shylock who charges high rate of interest when he gives money to the needy people. So Shylock, naturally Shylock considers Antonio as his enemy, right? So all these traits, charging high money, high rate of interest while giving the money, and hating Christian, all these things, these traits in his personality prove that Shylock is a miser man, is a greedy man, and he is a selfish person. Number two, Shylock is full of the feeling of revenge. Okay, he wants to take revenge. So he is a revengeful person, and he is also a bloodthirsty person. Right? Shylock is a revengeful and bloodthirsty man. He plans to take revenge upon Antonio. Why he wants to take revenge upon Antonio? As I just now told you, Antonio gives away his money to the needy people without charging any interest, a case which is not liked and loved by Shylock. So Shylock considers Antonio as his enemy. Right? Moreover, Antonio is a Christian, that's why Shylock, being a Jew, also does not like Antonio. So he plans a trap for Antonio. Antonio's need for a loan gives him an opportunity for this purpose. The trial scene at the end of the play, there is a trial scene in the court of the king. This scene shows him as a bloody and thirsty person. He does not show any mercy on Antonio. The king requests Shylock to forgive Antonio. Portia, in the disguise of a lawyer, also requests Shylock to forgive Antonio, but he does not forgive him. Okay, so and Bassanio also is ready to offer him 10 times more amount for the life of his friend. Bassanio says that if you forgive Antonio, I am ready to give you 10 times the money which Antonio was about to give you. Right? But Shylock remains stuck to his purpose. He says that if I want justice and I don't want money now, since Antonio has failed to pay my money, that's why I will cut a pound of flesh from the heart of Antonio. Okay, so this kind of rude approach shows that Shylock is a man full of revenge. Okay, number three, he is a deceitful and crafty person. Deceitful means he is a cheater. He is having the feeling of cheating the people, right? Crafty means he traps the people. He plans to trap the people. Shylock is not willing to lend any money in the beginning of the play. Shylock is not ready to give money to Antonio. Why? Because he hates Antonio. But soon he becomes ready on the condition of taking 1 pound of flesh from his body, Antonio's body. He says that this close, he signs a contract with Antonio. He says that this contract is simply a joke. Don't take it seriously. I am not going to cut a pound of flesh from your body, even if you are not paying me the money back. Thus, he tries to trap Antonio by getting the signature of Antonio on that contract. Okay, he is cunning enough to know that Antonio would fail to return his money within the prescribed time. Shylock knew that Antonio is never going to pay his money back within the prescribed time, and that is the reason why he asks Antonio to sign that contract. So, all in all, we can say that he traps Antonio to kill him. Right? So, he is a crafty person. Number 4, he is also a suspicious person. Suspicious means shanka. He is suspicious man. He is a suspicious man. Why? Because he has suspicion on his servant and also on his daughter. Right? And his suspicion is also justified. Why? Because his servant cheats him, and in the same manner his daughter also cheats him. His daughter runs away with a Christian after taking with her all his money and jewelry. Right? So he is a suspicious man, but he is right when he has suspicion on somebody. Number 5, his passion for his race. Race means his own community, that is Jews, right? Shylock has a strong love and faith for his community, for his religion, and that is the reason why, in the drama he keeps on speaking these words: our nation, our holy Sabbath, our holy Abraham. These words suggest that Shylock loves his religion, right? He hates Lorenzo, he hates and insults Antonio. Why? Because they are Christians. He, as a Jew, he loves his religion and he hates other people who are not following his religion, right? For him, Antonio stands for the whole Christian community, and that's why he hates Antonio. So these are the 5-6 traits in his personality which prove him to be a wicked character, which prove him to be a villain in the play. But at the same time, Shylock, as I told you in the beginning, Shylock is a character who arouses two different feelings in the hearts of the audience, in the hearts of the readers. Which two feelings? Shylock arouses hatred, and Shylock also arouses the feeling of pity and sympathy. So now let's discuss Shylock as a sympathetic character. Number 1, he is the champion of his community, the Jews, right? Shylock he speaks convincingly about the injustice which the Jews have suffered at the hands of the Christians. If you read the whole social history of Europe, then you will find that there was much conflict between the Jews and the Christians. Now, the reason was what? There was a conflict between the Jews and the Christians because the Christians mostly exploited the Jews in those olden days, right? And that is the reason why naturally Shylock, being a Jew, has hatred towards the Christian. When he speaks these lines, had not the Jew's eyes, had not a Jew hands, organs, dimensions, senses, affections and patience. He says that I am a Jew, and just like a Christian, I have eyes. Just like a Christian, I have hands. I have all organs of other parts of the body. So there is not much difference between a Christian and a Jew. Then why the Christians hate the Jews? Why the Christians have always exploited the Jews? So these words, show Shylock as a representative of the oppressed people who are known as the Jews, right? Moreover, number 2, Shylock is a strong personality. He is a towering personality, right? Here he can be compared with Satan. If you read Paradise Lost, the epic written by John Milton, there we come across the very strong and towering personality called Satan, right? So here you can compare Shylock with Satan because both have some similar qualities. Shylock has physical and mental ability to fight against the Christians, to fight against the so-called injustice done by the Christians to the Jews. He hates Antonio much and says this line, "This pound of flesh which I demand of him is dearly bought, it's mine, and I will have it." He is determined, strongly determined to cut a pound of flesh from the body of Antonio. And this determination, shows Shylock as a strong man. Moreover, number 3, he is also presented as a loving husband. This is another good quality found in this character. He is a devoted husband. He is devoted to his dead wife. He is struck to the heart when he hears that Jessica has given her mother's ring in exchange for a monkey. He says that he would never have parted with betrothal ring given by his wife Lee. Lee, Leah, is the name of his wife. Now this makes Shylock one of the most emotional characters of William Shakespeare. Moreover, he is presented as a true father. He loves his daughter like anything. Though in the beginning of the play, he has been presented as a very strict father, very harsh and rude father, but he actually loves and trusts his daughter. He is being a rigid Puritan. He merely wants Jessica. Jessica is the name of Shylock's daughter. Okay, he merely wants Jessica not to have anything to do with the pleasure-loving Christians. He requests Jessica not to be in the company of the Christians. He does not want his daughter to be corrupted by the wicked Christians. He would have given Jessica a handsome dowry in her marriage if she had married a Jew with his blessings. He tells his daughter that if you marry a person of my choice, then I am going to give all my richness as a dowry. Right? His concern for his daughter equals his anguish for his loss of ducats. Ducats means gold coins, right? He is heard saying, "Oh my ducats, oh my daughter, oh my Christian ducats," right? Why? Because he loves his money. Ducats means gold coins, and at the same time he loves his daughter. And his daughter runs away with a Christian and marries a Christian, taking all his ducats, gold coins. So he speaks this line. So these two lines suggests his love for his daughter as well as his richness and money. Number 5, he is also presented as an intellectual person, right? Shylock is one of the most intellectual characters ever drawn by William Shakespeare in all his plays. He is a very clever and sharp-minded person, and that is the reason why, using his intelligence, he traps Antonio within the court also. When Portia and the king, the duke, all request him to shower mercy on Antonio, he does not show any mercy or sympathy for the life of Antonio. All these things, show him as an intellectual personality. He speaks cleverly in the trial scene. Just like a lawyer, he speaks with all his intelligence. He is aware and clever enough to think that his daughter might fall in love with a Christian. Before Jessica flies away with a Christian, he knew about these things, right? He had suspicion on his daughter, and this shows his clever nature. Moreover, we also find Shylock as a sympathetic character, right? In spite of being a villain, Shylock finally becomes a pathetic, a tragic character. He wins the sympathy of the readers, of the audience. There are many factors which contribute to make him as a tragic figure. Number one, his daughter runs away with a Christian after taking all his money and richness. So, this makes him a poor man, a sympathetic character. Number two, Portia defeats him in the trial scene. Nobody takes his side, and he is punished to convert himself into a Christian. Shylock, who was a Jew, who hated the Christian, he is punished at the end of the play by the king, that your punishment is what? You will be converted into a Christian as a form of punishment, right? So this also arouses sympathy in the hearts of the readers. His property goes to his daughter who has married a Christian, right? All through his lifetime, he has collected all richness, but at the end of his life, all that richness goes to a Christian, right? So, thus, though the play ends happily, Shylock is almost shown as a tragic figure. So, he is sinned against more than sinning. So, all in all, all these points which you can see on the screen make him as a sympathetic character. So, here I come to the end of this discussion. At the end, let me conclude that Shylock is one of the most memorable villains ever created by William Shakespeare. Why? Because he has good qualities as well as some bad qualities. He is a villain, but at the same time, he arouses sympathy in the hearts of the readers. So here we end up this lecture. If you have any doubts or questions, do write to me in the comment section of this channel. Thank you for watching. Thank you.